I want to call to order the Clinton City Board of Public Works and Safety. That's May 25th at 6:30. Can we all just rise for a minute, have a moment of silence in honor of Mayor Guilfoyle? Thank you. Be seated. We have roll call.
J.P. Walker.
Here.
Scott Miller.
Here.
And Bob Alexander.
Here.
Okay. Minutes of the past meeting. Are there any questions you guys have on the minutes of the past meeting?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept the minutes of the past meeting. A roll call vote.
J.T. Walker.
Yes.
Scott Miller.
Yes.
And Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any citizens' comments at this time for the Board of Works? Okay. Any board members' comments?
Yeah, if I could, I would like to ask permission to add Christy Gerald from Gerald Consulting. She's here. She's wanted to talk a little bit about some funding issues with the CSO project. So I'd like to permission to add her to the agenda at the end of our agenda, if I could, for new business.
Okay, so you're making the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to add Christy Gerald to the agenda tonight. Roll call vote.
J.T. Walker.
Yes.
Scott Miller.
Yes.
And Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Okay, old business, there's no old business. So we'll go on to new business.
Claims.
All claims.
Oh, that's right, I skipped. Claims. Sorry, skipped over it. Is there any question on the claims?
I just have a comment, and I appreciate all the department heads and all the personnel getting in with the clerk treasurer. It's been a rough week for everybody, and I think we're finally going to be caught up. I spent a couple hours last night going through a lot of claims, and so did you guys, and I appreciate that, so that we can get these done. Believe it or not, it ended up about $350,000 in claims, but you got to go, remember we had to go as far as back as July. I've seen one from July. And so we're hopefully this will get it caught up and make it a lot less signing, and you guys happen to research and go, wow, that was back in October. That appeal was from November. Good job, hats off, and thank you very much. Make a motion to accept the claims as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion to accept the claims and a second. Roll call vote.
J.T. Walker.
Yes.
Scott Miller.
Yes.
And Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Now we'll move on. No old business, so we'll go on to new business. The Clinton Public Library requesting street closure for summer reading program. Is there somebody here for that? Okay. Go ahead and state your name then.
I am Ashley Wolf from the Clinton Public Library, and we have our summer reading program every summer. Every summer. And our youth program will be ending on July 14th. It's a Monday, and we like to have a party. Last year we tried to have it inside the building, but this year we would like to close off the road right in front of the building. The alleyway will still be accessible, but we were thinking from the alleyway to the intersection right on South 4th Street, just so we could have a safe area for like tables and
Sure.
games and stuff for the kids. And it will be, the event's from 6 to 8, so we were hoping like around 4 o'clock to allow the groups to come and set up.
What's the,
I'm a very visual person, so I have a little map.
what was your date?
July 14th, Monday. It'll be on South Fourth till up until the intersection of Pleasant and South Fourth.
Okay.
So just,
No big apparatus, like fire trucks or, they're all gonna be in that?
I'm hoping, yes, we're going, I wanted to get the okay before I start sending out invites, but we're hoping to have fire trucks and police cars there.
Do you need a
Different
little bit more
groups.
room?
Possible.
One fire truck probably takes the front of the,
Yeah.
I'm not just making recommendations, it's okay if you need to go.
Okay, a little bit
Further.
farther, okay. We didn't want to hinder anything, but
Right.
it would be nice to have a little bit more wiggle room. We wanted the alleyway to be accessible so they could get into our parking lots.
Right.
But we'll have tropical snow is gonna be there, handing out snow cones.
If you blocked off the alley on that side, you could still access from the back though, right?
Okay.
So you could probably go ahead and block off that entrance if you want, they could just
Okay,
come
a
in from the
little bit
back.
further.
I guess as long as you don't block the business.
Because we don't wanna affect the gas station
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
there.
So I imagine if you went right up to that, it'd probably be fine.
Okay.
And then if you got vehicles with flashing lights, that's probably an added roadblock as well. Yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the roadblock for the Clinton Public Library for July 14th, Monday, 4 to 8.
And I'll second that.
J.T. Walker.
Well, wait a minute, I've got a motion and
Oh,
a second
sorry.
to, for the Clinton Public Library to close the street there. A roll call vote,
J.T. Walker.
yes.
Scott Miller.
Yes.
And Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Next is HWC Engineering, Eric Smith. He's going to give an update on the CSO projects.
Okay, first to give you all a general update, here's a weekly project update that we email out on this project. It's prepared by our inspector that's on the site every day. There's usually some pictures in it. It basically, and Jack always stayed very engaged in the project, so I'm willing to add whoever wants to be in on these updates moving forward. It's a good way of staying up to date on how the progress is going. We do have monthly progress meetings, and we're due to have one. I believe it'd be the second Thursday in June. I think that's our day. So, but just to give you a general update, a lot of the effort has been on getting work prepared to do the board crossing 163 there. By the Dairy Queen. Also, they've installed the temporary parking lot for the Hamilton Center because their parking lot is going to be basically taken out of service when we build that sewer through there. While waiting on some of the bore equipment to come in, they also jumped down and did some of the sewer work down by the plant, basically to connect a couple of the two north interceptors that bring flow from the north side of the city into the plant, connecting those, leaving them flowing where they are now, but making the provision so they could be diverted into our new influence structure once it's complete, closer to the end of the job. So that's kind of an update of where things stand right now. I do have pay application number 2. Pay application number 1 for the contractor has already been approved and processed. Scott and Bob, I know you know this, but the funding is in place, so basically we bring a pay application normally on a monthly basis, and it's covered through the financing that we got through the Indiana Finance Authority State Revolving Loan Fund in the form of a loan and an EPA grant that they are administering. Then we also have an OPRA grant, so those are the 3 funding pieces that are covering the project. So I've got a copy of pay application number 2, and the signature spot is on the cover page of that pay application.
Okay.
Here's a copy. As you can see, the total pay application is in the amount of $393,133.64. We've reviewed that. It's generally for material stored, all of the pipe and structures. Some of it has been installed. Mobilization costs, now that both contractors have mobilized. There's one contractor to Graves Construction, but two major contractors, B&T Drainage and Excavating, is doing a lot of the sewer work, and Graves is doing the larger structures at the plant. So we've reviewed that and would recommend that be approved for payment. And if you do so, there are also two claim forms that need signed that will allow us to draw down the money for that pay application.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to, for pay application number 2 from Graves Construction Services, for the total value of the pay application of $393,133.64 as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve this pay application. Roll call vote,
J.T. Walker,
yes.
Scott Miller,
Yes.
and Bob Alexander.
Yes.
JT, if you want to get me those after the meeting, then I'll get those
Okay, I'll get them right.
Grant administrator.
Okay. All right,
The
thank you.
other item I have is on community crossings. These are the original bids that we received for the paving work. You should keep those on file. Attached is our bid review letter. We received 2 bids, and we've reviewed those and would recommend that the bid submitted by Milestone Contractors South, their bid was in the amount of $981,743. That amount falls within the NDOT funding award and sets your match at $245,000, which you had planned on pledging $250,000. So the bids came in under what we had projected. So the grant portion of this is about $730,000, just so everybody knows. NDOT is putting in $730,000.
All right.
Okay.
What I would, if you approve the award, I have a notice of award that needs to be submitted to NDOT that allows us to send that to the contractor, and then we can get their paperwork and start the process of getting everything approved through NDOT. I believe the notice of award is attached.
Yeah, I think it's right on the front in our cover letter.
Yeah.
Okay, just so the residents understand, this is all the project within the scope right here, correct?
Yeah. It's several different streets.
Yeah, I
it
was just gonna hit them real quick.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. This crossing matching grant is 10th Street, Bogart to Ewing Street, 6th Street, North Street to Anderson Street, on 9th to 8th Street, on Chestnut Street. And then you got Cherry Street, go from 3rd to Main. On Ash Street, you'll go to 3rd to Main. Then on Wabash Avenue, go to 5th to 4th Street. On Knoll Street, we'll go to 7th to 6th Street. On 8th Street, it'll be Matthews Street to Clinton Street. And then we'll go over on 3rd Street, it'll be Locust to Beach Street. And then we'll have Wabash Avenue, 8th Street to 6th Street. That's what we'll be getting out of the Community Crossing Paving Program. And the bid application is for $981,743 from Milestone's Contractor. I make a motion to accept the bid.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion to accept this bid and a second. Need a roll call vote?
Yep. JT,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Eric, appreciate it.
Do we have one more for your invoice? Eric,
Huh?
we have one more, maybe you can touch up on that.
Sure, I'll try.
It's for HWC Engineering's efforts
Yeah,
from March 31st to April 27th, 2025.
yeah.
And the invoice is for $33,076.94. And that's approximately 11.2% of the construction engineering fee and 10.7% of the construction observation fee for the observer
Yeah.
out there.
That's all for part of the CSO project.
Okay, so
And
you're
that-
just
and
breaking
that's part
it
of the
down.
claim that JT signed.
So you
Okay.
just gave us a broke down for
Yes.
what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so I just wanted to clear that.
Yeah, you get that every month.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, the next thing is adopt a new zoning ordinance. I didn't have anything on that. Do you guys have anything on that?
That's a public hearing.
That's the
Oh,
public
that's for the
hearing.
public hearing?
That's,
Yes.
that's
Okay,
the
we'll
seven,
take-
Across
right?
the Rubicon there.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a seven, correct, right after this meeting?
yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so we'll move that.
Move that to
the public hearing,
Yes.
7 o'clock following the water hearing.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then you guys all got your monthly reports from the departments?
Yeah, we don't expect the guys to get up and read them. We can read them ourselves. I know Cindy and Chris aren't here anyway, and Jesse's not here, so we can acknowledge that we got them, and we can review them ourselves.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need?
Yeah, we have Christy Gerald added to the agenda here to discuss some funding issues that we're having.
Okay,
Good evening, everybody. As you know, Eric was just speaking about our CSO, Long-Term Control Plan project. This is funded through SRF and Okra. We do have a major issue on the project. So the first Okra drawdown request was a little bit over $146,000 because we split those payment requests up. SRF gets a certain portion based upon the OSG grant and then traditional loan and then also Okra grant. So SRF will actually, once we send that in, they send the money directly to the vendors, okay? But Okra sends the money to the city, and then the city's treasurer's office has to write that check. It is federal and state regulation with this grant that you guys have signed a grant agreement that these funds, once they hit your city account, they have to be expended within 5 business days. Right now, the funds are entered into your general account, which is an interest-bearing account, which is not good. So, timeline of events, I've handed you a packet. On 4/15 of 25, the City Board of Work approved Graves Construction pay app number 1. On 4/16, after I received the signature back from Jack, I submitted both requests to both SRF and Okra for payment. On 4/24, Patty Karanovich, she received the ACH email notification from the auditor of the state stating that the Okra monies were getting ready to deposit in the account. And on 4/16, the day that I submitted both Okra and SRF, I emailed the clerk treasurer, let him know that it was
I
coming.
beg your pardon, but this sounds like a personnel issue. I think it should be
Okay,
tabled
no,
to
we're
a
not.
meeting.
Excuse me, I'm talking right now, please, thank you.
Is that a no?
no, we're gonna let it
Okay,
continue.
then I'm going to present this letter to the board. When you guys have respect for my office like everybody else, I will return. Clerk treasurer does not have to be present at a recorded meeting. There's no reason for this to go on, just like it did in December of last year. So if you'd like to have a personnel meeting to talk about these issues, the person who knew about SRF was in the building as your backup. I was not in the building on April 16th until May 2nd. So there's your letter.
Well, you had until May
Have
2nd.
a good day.
to extend
This
the
is
check.
over as far as I'm concerned,
Okay,
just
thank
like
you.
in
Please.
December.
Thank you, goodbye.
Just like in
Right.
December when you were so disrespectful to me then.
So, the day that I submitted the payment application to Okra and SRF, I emailed the clerk treasurer, put Jack, Eric, I always put the project engineer on there, and also Patty, just like I've done to all clerk treasurers. with detailed information, and everything is in your packet. You can see the email that I sent. Gave specific details on how those funds were to be expended, and call me if you have any questions. So then Patty on 424 receives the ACH email from the auditor of the state. She sends that to me because I have to have that for my paperwork. And then she, on the following day, sent the clerk treasurer a specific email stating that Gerald Consulting sent you an email on 4/16/25. You know, if you have questions, you know, and all these emails are in here. On 5/6, I still haven't received a copy of the check. So I emailed the Lieutenant Governor's Business Office, Controller Mitzi Moss, inquiring when the payment had hit the city account. She mailed me back the next day on 5/7 stating that the payment hit the account on April the 28th. And then on 5/13, I received a letter from Graves Construction, very upset because he's your main contractor. He has not received his payments, and his letter is in this packet as well. So Okra grant dollars were deposited on 4/28/25 in your city general account, which is an interest-bearing account. Check should have been written within 5 days of that deposit, and it should have been written on or before May the 2nd. So the Okra will issue a finding on this matter because the check still has not been written, and we're almost a month out. And so in order to fix this finding, I have to have a letter from the clerk treasurer. He's going to have to, and that's in this packet, he is going to have to call the bank. Well, he's first going to need to write the check tomorrow morning. And then I need a copy of the physical check for the records. And then he's going to have to call the bank. I have to have a letter or an email from the bank with the bank's name stating the bank ending in 2550 at First Financial Bank is an interest-bearing account. And from the time it hit the account on 4/28 up until the date he writes the check, hopefully he writes the check tomorrow. That is a total of how many days, and then she has to tell how much interest has been earned, and then we have to request from Okra that they do not have us pay back the interest. Normally they don't if it's under $500, but this is the letter that has to be signed by the clerk treasurer, or you probably won't be able to apply for a grant again because we'll have a finding and it'll be an unresolved finding. Also, the payment applications that you submitted tonight and have approved and given signed, those will be turned in tomorrow. So we'll have another Okra grant request. So we just need. I'm willing to work with him. He just needs to call me. I gave him specific instructions, as you can tell in the packet, on how to expend those funds. We've always paid in a timely manner. We've never had any findings on our projects, and you know, I've been working with the city for so long. We want to continue getting these grants. So.
Okay. Thank you. Well, hopefully he will sign them then.
Yes. So we'll need a copy. Hopefully you can get him to write the check tomorrow and date it, give me a physical copy of the check, and then get this letter to him.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
We have the detail. Nothing we can do about the pass. I've always said once that pass happens 1 minute, then you can't do anything about it. But moving forward, hopefully interim mayor can sit down with Bart, clerk treasurer tomorrow, only talk about the importance, get it out of that general account and get this stuff done, because we kind of threw our numbers, if that's sitting in the general account from what we just approved on claims. It's a double whammy on that, and I'm gonna have to go back and look at deposits. But if you can, we gotta fix this like ASAP tomorrow. We can't look at what happened, whatever. You can't fix what happened, you just gotta fix it now.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that these Okra grants are critical to these big projects. I mean, this contractor could walk off the job and leave it unfinished. Not to mention the problem we'd have with ever getting a grant to fix another project. I mean, this is really bad. I mean, I want people to know this is really bad.
What concerns me is that he might demobilize, and if he demobilizes and then has to mobilize back on, that'll cost the city money as well. So there'll be a change order. So we want to make sure that we get vendors paid in a timely manner, and we remain in compliance with federal and state regulation on the grant. And that's why I'm here, to make sure you're in compliance. Yeah.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, anything else?
Can get resolved.
That,
Yeah.
motion to adjourn, 'cause we got other stuff to do.
Okay,
Yes, everybody.
motion to adjourn then. We'll stand adjourned.
What do you say?
Oh, I didn't even hear this stuff.
Here's all the reports for the city council, everything, because mine wasn't in there. I'm not gonna stick around for the city council.
You guys want one of those each?
I will. Maybe I will. What is that? Theater. Just theater. Another food.
It's like,
Are you free? When you get free, give me 3 minutes.
I already gave them those. These are all for the city council.
what's that?
I already gave them a copy of the Board of Works.
About threw that in my packet.
You don't need it anyway.
Where did this come from?
Mark gave that to us.
Well, the problem is it's second class, we're third class. None of it's,
Hey, don't be disrespectful.
I'm just saying, if I want the relevant paperwork.
And I was being
Yeah,
respectful.
yeah,
Okay.
minus or reasonable.
I want to open the public hearing part of the meeting tonight. We'll start with the proposed rates and charges for the municipal water utility. So any comments from the public? Just stand up, state your name, and you'll have 2 minutes, and then we will continue on. So whoever has something to go ahead and make a comment. No one? Any comments from the council?
I looked at it, again, it's a 510 was per, it's a 77-cent increase per 1,000 from our current bill. So 77 cents there. It's $1.26 additional compared to what we have now for the 5/8. And as I said in the last meeting, I did go back and I did get Dot and I communicated back and forth. I showed her the UMBAL, the financials, what they asked us to do. I thought they were had 3 different types of proposals for us back in 2017. Those are listed on there, but after looking at that, nobody could foresee the future from 2018. Then we go into COVID, and then I don't know where everybody works at or what they do, but they have seen a considerable price increase of trying to get parts. We were stagnant for water parts for a long time. And then when they finally got everything ramped up, guess what we were paying? We were paying even higher prices. I did, I believe you were at the Duke hearing in Terre Haute. There was a hearing down there. Their rates is just going up, which that we've already seen. Then we have another rate increase that they proposed to make the coal classification plant into gas. And so there's been a falling on that. Today was issued. It's still in the motions. So I feel for people, I really do. When we work on a budget, it's very complicated when you're hit with your daily expense bills. And that's property taxes went up for some tremendously. Your values went skyrocketing. Then you're hit with a lot of your providers for every utility. It seems like they hit us this year. And so even I look at that budgeting just from my own household and know that there's things I have to cut back. Done that drastically because we're not done yet. We haven't got into our own property tax cuts, tax for the city and what that's going to look like. Right. So I really think the rates justify, because it's not as much when I break it down for a daily increase or a monthly increase on your bills.
Okay. Go ahead, Doc.
My questions, 12, I had last month I had 12 questions, and for Scott, thank you. He answered 11 out of the 12. And I want to submit that for records because he was really the point person to get the information that I needed from the questions. Although I do have a question. I don't understand how we can go, we'll say 4 years, being in the hole $50,000, year 2021, year 2022, year 2023, and year 2024. I understand all what you're saying, but I need to understand, how did we repeatedly for 4 years, year after year after year, continue to be in the hole? And why some measures weren't taken, like in year 2023, not to repeat being in the hole as the previous 2 years? Can anybody tell me?
Well, I would say that what Bob was just talking about, our revenues were going downward, but our expenses were going upward because of part cost, meter cost, piping, everything was going up. So that would attribute to why we were in the hole and stayed in the hole. We never could come out of the hole because our expenses were exceeding our income. So,
We should have probably done more smaller rates from 18 to 25. Every 2 years, there should have been a rate increase, but COVID got in there, which everybody knows, it messed things up. And we're right, prices of a meter went from $100 to $250. Things just skyrocketed and demand went up. And we thought it'd come back to normal, and it never came back to normal. If you look at the bar graph, which I think you got a copy of it, we're very lucky that we're this low compared to everybody else in the area. And we're managing it to keep it low.
Speaking of that graph, it showed the water rates, but a lot of the communities that we compared with also have sewer. And our customers, when they get a bill, they see the lump sum. It factors in water, storm/rate, and the sewer, and then the tax. So when they're looking at the bill, they're looking at the lump sum that they have to pay. So in the future, if we're going to do a comparison, we should also compare what the sewer rates are in neighboring. You can disagree with that, but that, wait a minute, that is what the customer is going to be looking at, the totality of the bill as a whole. And it would be helpful to have that breakdown. And I don't know if it's the way it came out, but it said Clinton, Fairview. That's also factoring in the school, right?
Not Fairview. Fairview buys water from, the school buys water from Clinton City.
Well, right, so, how do I say
And
that?
the school doesn't use as much water as what you think they use.
Well, I don't know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking. But the way it was written on that, it looked like it was side by side. And I didn't understand why some had the year 2005 and 2009.
That's the last year they asked for a rate increase. Their rate increase in Fairview, the last one they got was in 2005. Then we have Clinton proposed as the new one. Clinton Township's last rate was 2009 at $34.12. Rosedale was in 2024. Cayuga did one in 2024. Rockville did one. Hillsdale did in 2023. St. Bernice in 24. Dana in 21. Montezuma had to do a large one in 24 because they have nitrates in the water. They're at 79.16 for 4,000. So some cities have and some cities haven't.
Right.
But all of them are working on raising rates due to the cost of everything.
And you talked about not factoring in the prices being raised. If we are going to be infected with all this tariff that's coming down, have we got the right amount? And then my other thing is, we don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, the total credit card receipts, or the user fee to use a credit card, are we recapturing the whole amount of that or just a part of that? Because you said to me it was $36,000 or $32,000.
Jesse looked at the number of transactions we had. It's only people who pay in the office. If you pay online with your credit card, it automatically increases the amount that you pay, and we get the whole amount that we are owed. But when people come into the water office and pay, or they call the water office to pay, they run the card in the office. That is when we are charged fees. And the last year I had was 23, and it was some $1,000. Based on the number of transactions that we had, we thought 225 would be. It may be a little much, it may be a little less, I don't know. It's going to be ballpark. But there's a maximum we can charge of $3 per transaction. We didn't want to start there. We wanted to start a little lower than that and see if that helped. We're not trying to make money off of it, we're just trying to break even on it. So
but when you look at the budget, if it's costing the city at large to make the difference between, we'll say, the $3 and the $2 whatever, somebody's eating that.
yeah, we've been eating that.
Right, and so if we're really, with what's going to go on with the property caps and a number of different things, we need to look at recouping, because what's being asked is all the customers are are kicking in to offset that difference between the $3 and the $2.27 or whatever it is.
Jess and I figured it out. I mean, based on the number of transactions, we thought 225 would cover it.
But most businesses would recoup the total amount of that fee,
Or don't take them at all.
or don't,
Or we
right.
go back to not taking them. Then we have a problem with elderly people that
Right.
can't come in. That's why we went to the credit card, because
Right.
it
Oh,
was
and
so
I-
much easier.
I think the credit card's a good idea, but for running an operation, what I'm saying is, and if money's gonna be extremely tight, we need to look recouping wherever we can, and that was my concern.
So we started, I mean, we thought 225 was gonna be enough. If you, the issue is that we can't go higher than what we advertised without, we'd have to do a whole new ordinance. We can do that later if we wanna do this for 6 months and see, you know, how are we close? We can do that, and then we can look to increase, we cannot go above 3, but if it's
We
not enough.
can
go
just
3.
amend the credit card fee as part of that, can't we? Or we have to do the whole thing
You'd
again?
have to just do the credit card part.
Just the credit card,
Yeah,
so we can change
Affects
it.
the whole ordinance.
Okay.
But if we don't really know what our financial status is, how can we move forward on this?
On which part? On the ordinance itself?
Yeah,
Oh, because I know we're losing money. We lost money the last 3 years.
well, I know, but
um,
I just don't,
The only other thing is if we're insolvent, the state will take us over and sell
You
it.
know,
Then we have no
We're
control.
not insolvent.
But we, yeah, but.
We are, well, I just want to get into it. There were a couple things, we thought we had more cushion than we had, I'll be honest with you. We thought we had more cushion than we had. When Nancy was clerk treasurer, she used Susie Bass to do bank reconciliations.
Mhm.
Susie discovered that there was considerable amounts, like $70,000, that had never been debited out of water fund. Should have been. There was a wire transfer to make SRF bond payments that was made by a previous clerk treasurer. It was made, the money came out of the bank account, but it never got into the system. So that our fund report was overstating by $40,000. Then the credit card stuff was not being reconciled by the clerk treasurer. So those fees were coming out and had been coming out, but they come out directly from the bank. They weren't going through the system. So our balance was overstated considerably. And so that happened, I don't remember when it was, the fall, I guess it was. And if you looked at your fund reports, you would have seen the fund report for 1 month showed water had an operating balance of whatever it was, 70,000. And then the next month, the operating balance was like 2 or negative. I think it was negative, wasn't it, Bob? It went
Yes,
negative.
negative.
So we were like, what the heck happened? I remember talking to Bob about it. We figured out what it was. It was right. It was right. It was that big wire transfer that had never been inputted into the system and all those credit card things. So, I think that the water utility is fairly consistent in its revenues. It's fairly consistent in its expenses. But over time, the expenses are going up and the revenues are not exactly going up. And we have added some customers, but they're residential customers. They're not big users. So I know there's little variables, like Cindy was buying a lot of water meters. She had a water meter program to replace water meters. That's done now, so that's kind of gone away. But we also have some projects on the near horizon here that we need to deal with. Our water tower is in need of a paint
Right.
job. That's one. Our well houses, and Eric can speak to this, they need to be, there's some controls that need to be updated, things like that. It's a constant battle to maintain the system that we have and keep it in good shape and make it so when you turn on your faucet, the clean drinking water comes out. And so we have, just last week, Christy's still here, and Eric and I had a conversation with Mayor about the next project that we need to do. We're gonna try and not borrow any money to do that. We're gonna try and do that through a combination of Okra grant, if we still can get them, and our own cash. But again, we're gonna need to start to increase our revenues to build up that
correct.
match money. And, I think a 15% increase should bring in something like $130, $140 a year. You take those credit card fees, that's gonna be another 30 that we're not spending, or we're spending it, we're getting it back, so we're washing ourselves there. And hopefully we can get our operating balance built back up and also start to put some money away to pay for our matching part of the water tower repaint and the well field stuff. So this is not a detail, this is not a, we can spend $30,000 on a consultant, have a consultant come in and go through the numbers and give you a very detailed breakdown, but I think they're going to come to the exact same conclusion. You need a rate, maybe that rate increase is 17%, or maybe it's 13%, maybe it's 27%, I don't know. But, if we're losing money, which we did we did every year.
21, 22.
Now, again, the books are going to be a little skewed in 24 because of those payments. One of those payments went back to a wire transfer that was made in 2023 and had never been, because nobody done bank reconciliations of those funds, of those bank accounts, I'm sorry. And so when you don't do those bank recs, there's a wire transfer that comes directly out of the bank. It doesn't go through the system. The system doesn't know that you spent $40,000. And you find yourself suddenly short. So I think that, and you'd asked this, I think that the Board of Works knew, certainly, I know I talked to the mayor about it a lot, water's going to need an increase. But we also knew we had a big sewer project coming, and we knew that there was going to need to be a sewer rate increase to do that. Well, let's try and wait until we have to do it. And we still have an operating balance, we still have some cushion there. That cushion went away kind of quickly, but the mayor wanted to wait let's wait till the sewer's in, and then we can do this year to start to get the water built back up. It was because of that concern about people getting hit with rate increases all around. Let's try and wait as long as we can, but I don't know that we can wait much longer at this point because of the last numbers I had for the water had an operating balance, had like 5,000 in it.
In a negative right now.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is.
It
goes like that depending on when people pay.
What's a comfortable amount to have in your operating?
The advice I'm usually been told, and so I repeat it, is it's good to have a couple months worth of your operating expenses in there. And at times we've had extra money, and we've been able to, then we have a fund called the depreciation fund. And so that fund, when we have some extra cash, we move it into that depreciation fund and use that to pay for capital things that need to be repaired or replaced, pumps, things like that that are very expensive.
Right.
So we have a reserve to do that, but then we have that operating. I think that 2 months is probably a little much. I think you could get by with 100. If we had 100 in there, I'd feel real good in that operating, because that gets us at least, that's a month's plus expenses. So if nobody came in, if nobody paid bills for a month, we'd still have enough to run. We thought we were okay there until Susie Bass caught those bank recs.
Went down
The fund balance that he just laid here before he left, the clerk treasurer, it shows the water utility operating at a negative $9,265.35.
Yeah. And then next month, it's been, for the water side, it's doing this. We drop and then we pick it back up. And then we drop and then we pick it back up. So I think with what's proposed, we'll even it out. Will we go out and do a lot of things? We're going to have to do just the basic preventive maintenance so we can continue to go through this. See what's going to happen in the future with the tariffs. I don't want to jump the gun, but you do make some correct statements there. So I think what all the homework that's been put into it is, I think people ought to be comfortable where we're at. I think the Board of Works is definitely comfortable where it's at.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's plenty, because we just don't know. We had a sewer fiasco go out in Glen Ridge that was unexpected. Same thing can happen on water. And everybody knows that's here, some on the council now that was affected. I know one's out here in the audience. It was a sewer fiasco out there, and it cost the city a lot of money to go back and fix that. Same thing can happen on a water main. We can have some of our water mains.
She had two yesterday.
Yeah. If she hits those big mains, it's even worse. So I think Right now, we just have to see where we're going to stabilize out, and if it's stabilized. But I think when the previous mayor, he was looking out for the residents. He has for the last 2 increases. He has told Scott and told Eric, no, we need to hold off. We need to hold off. We can try to get through it. Why? Because we care about the residents. And sometimes we look so hard and we don't really look at the real truth. We don't. And so when we do look at it, now we got to get it going. And I think it's been prolonged enough. That's all I'm going to say on the water rates.
Is that it on the comments on the water rates then? If it is, I'll close this part of the public hearing on the water rates and open up the notice of public hearing on the adoption of the replacement zoning ordinance. So are there any comments on the zoning ordinance for the citizens? There's no comments. Is there any comments from the council?
Just want to thank John Moore, who was really our representative and backbone by getting this done. It wasn't easy. It was lots of meetings, and it was well deserved coming.
Lots of long meetings.
Yes.
Not only.
So
Yeah, we can go.
and they remember, ordinances can be changed,
Right.
amended at any time. So
There's
thank
no-
you again, John.
I like the document. It's a good document. It's easy to understand. Even though it was a combination, the city still has their ability to make changes that directly affect them. And that's what I like about it. It's a good guideline, but yet the city's got leeway to
Have the option.
take their own trail.
It also saved us a lot of money in building a document because the county did it for us and
We
not.
paid some.
Yeah, but we didn't pay what we'd have to do if we
jumped
would
on their
have started from
train
square
and-
one. Yeah.
And,
JT and I served on it for the city, and we didn't put as much time in as John did, but it's still long meetings.
Very long meetings, yeah. All right, then I'll go ahead and close the public hearings then. And we'll start the council meeting in 5 minutes if we can still have it without a clerk.
You're supposed to have clerk, but,
We're
I've been-
recording.
You're recording. I can do the roll call if somebody can.
Okay. We'll start
I
at
gotta get
5
my
minutes.
turn start. That's my number. Well,
Want to bring to order the City of Clinton Council meeting this day of May the 20th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. I need everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please keep standing afterwards.
The chair rolls.
Sorry.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, we want to have a moment of silence for Mayor Guilfoyle. If you bow your heads. Okay, you may be seated. Thank you. Get a roll call vote.
roll call. JT Walker,
Here.
Chuck Properoni,
Here.
Dean Strome,
Here.
Dr. Farr Lindsay, Bob Alexander.
Here.
Okay. Minutes of the past meeting. Are there any questions or corrections on them?
Yes.
Yours, number five.
I don't have mine.
Here it is. Where you,
I said no on the
Yes,
first reading,
right.
and then the electric, I said yes.
They got them backwards.
No, electric, I said yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, and I said no on the first reading of the water. Or maybe yours, this is, maybe you got a corrected copy?
That was in my packet, I don't know.
Oh, I'm no there.
Yeah, Dot's no, first reading of
then-
water. No electric bikes.
No.
I'm yes on
that's
the
a yes.
electric bike,
Okay.
And no on water.
right,
And no on water, okay.
Right.
Backwards.
right.
you did have those prepared, the corrections.
I think he,
Right, so he was gonna present them tonight.
right, I think he was, because I called him.
Do we want to table those then till we get the corrected copies?
We can make.
We can make the corrections then and go? Okay.
Right,
Okay, is there a motion to accept the minutes with the corrections?
so moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to accept the meetings of the past minutes with the corrections made. Roll call vote.
JT Walker,
Yes.
Chuck Properoni,
Yes.
Dean Strome,
Yes.
Dot Lindsay,
Yes,
Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments at this time?
Oh.
Yep. Go ahead.
Were you gonna say something about the flag?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I think I emailed everybody on the council, but anyone else who hasn't heard, Governor Braun is going to announce, issue an order on Friday that flags in the whole county to be put at half-staff on Friday in memory of the mayor. So, appreciate the governor recognizing that this is a loss for our community, and we're going to acknowledge that through putting our flags at half-staff throughout the county on Friday.
Yeah. Thank you. Council comments?
Yes, the clerk treasurer isn't here, but I'd like for the record. Fund number 4424, the firehouse maintenance, that was established by ordinance where the funds for the rental of the ambulance at the firehouse, that money would go into the firehouse fund. I checked back on the last fund report that we received, which was in March, and the same balance as March is the same on the fund balance that was given to us dated 5/15/2025. I also noticed on the revenue report, I don't see, there's a lot of revenue that comes into the community, that has always been reported on that day. It's called a daily revenue report. We get rent from the kid care. We get this money from the county. There's money from joint comes in of $100 and some odd dollars. The reimbursement of electricity and heating from the senior citizens. Again, any rental from the community center, reimbursement for electricity usage down at the concession stand by the Optimist during the soccer games, the opioid money from the state, anything like the revenue from gasoline tax, cigarette, liquor, all of that, that usually comes in on a monthly basis. And I have not seen one of those since March. So it would be helpful if we had that information to see what revenue is coming in. So, and I spoke to the chief about claim that he's going to look into one.
Okay. Any other comments from the council?
I have two.
Chuck?
One, I was going to ask the clerk treasurer, but the clerk treasurer's not here. I have some letters from employees concerned about personal data on a personal laptop. Banking records, routing numbers, social security numbers, payroll information, and I was going to ask if it was on a personal laptop or if it had been removed. I can't ask him that, but I want that on the record. We need an answer on that.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be on anything personal, and there's a lot of sensitive data. Is my information on there or whatever? So I want to ask him that. I do need to defer a short time to Scott Craig, our city attorney, about a problem that we've been working on, and we were going to try to put it on next month, but we're going to try to get it out this month. You want to bring up our small problem?
Takes a minute, but city is a member of PERF, the Public Employee Retirement Fund, and has been since
1976.
Hugh McGill.
Yep.
So when I first got involved with the city was back in the early 2000s, and I didn't know any better. Nobody knew any better, and I didn't have any involvement with PERF, but we had an employee or a couple of employees come forward in the early 2000s and say, hey, I'm getting closer to retirement. Why am I not, why can I not be in PERF? And we said, well, I don't know, well, you sure can be. Well, I was told I couldn't be. So we went over to Indianapolis and met with PERF and discovered that the city, when it enacted its ordinance or its resolution, whatever it was, they had a copy of it. I remember them going to the file cabinet and pulling it out. It said all full-time employees and elected officials are members of PERF. And so we've been able to fix that going forward since that time. So employees, any full-time employee of the city should be enrolled in PERF. Now some are firefighters and police are in a separate, they're in their own fund. They have their own retirement fund, but all the civilian employees of the city are in PERF, and I think it's been that way since at least the last 10, 15 years. We've been able to get that fixed. But we have employees, we don't know how many, we don't know who. Some employees who were hired by the city after 77 were in PERF, and we're fine. We're good on the police and fire. I've never seen an issue with police and fire. It's the civilian employees. It's the guy who worked in the cemetery department, or the girl who worked in the water office, or whatever. And so Chuck has been a big advocate for us addressing this problem. Now, it's a big problem because we're talking about employees who, some of whom are, I'm sure many of whom are deceased at this point or don't know where they're at. Some were only here a short period of time. Some are here, who were here longer. I think we got most of the problems fixed for the people who, I don't want to name names, but a couple of employees who've been here for a while, we were able to get them fixed, before they retired. But we do have a lot of work that would need to be done to figure out who should have been in PERF, who was in PERF, and that's step one. And then you have to figure out, okay, what would their contribution have been, what would our contribution have been. Now, to some employees, it may not make a difference, because if they were only here for a year, or less than 10 years, frankly, it wouldn't really make a difference. But if they've been here, if they were here for more than 10 years, or if they left here and took another perf job.
That's what brought this up, is me, when I went to work in Indiana State University for a short time. The perf guy says, hey, you got a perf account, but there's no money in it. And I had a number. Well, how'd that happen? And that's when I discovered all this, and we started working on this. There's people that are retired from the city that are alive that should be getting a pension that are not getting a pension. I didn't get my 4 years on the council or the time I worked for ART. So those were not, because I was told on the council, well, the council's not, the elected officials aren't included. There was no standard procedure that we knew of.
Now you have me worried. You guys are having money taken out for perf, right?
I'm not.
Yes. They are on mine.
All right, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should be.
Should be.
You should be. It's not a lot, because you don't get paid a lot, but there should be money taken out going into perf. Maybe you're too old, I don't know.
It's like $4 or something.
So are we looking at people who were full-time and not part-time? It was all strictly full-time?
Full-time. Full-time. The problem we have is we don't have good personnel records. We went through so many clerk treasurers at multiple times. No, I know. So Scott and me have been working on this. We're going to have to go to the bonding companies. We're going to have to do something to recoup some kind of money to hire someone to figure out who do we owe money to.
So how are we going to budget?
I don't know. We don't know the magnitude of the problem.
And the state did tell us, though, they had funds to pay the pension. But we would have to pay a higher rate going forward. The last time we talked to them.
Chuck had an idea, if we can come up with the employees' names, then we can try and research and determine, and I don't know how to do, if it's the IRS or, the IRS doesn't let you give out information, but we may have records that would show what those employees were paid either via some old salary ordinances or something like that. We could at least start to measure the magnitude of loss. I do know that when this came up, when it first came up with PERF, we were able to get with them and say, okay, this person's worked here since, 1987, and here's what they made roughly. And they, it was sort of to some extent they had some records, but it wasn't perfect. And we came up with a solution, and we paid money, and they paid money, and we were good. And those people were able to retire. So it is it's going to take a while to figure out. And I don't know how many people it affected. There's been a lot of people who've come through the city. Now, we can tell how long we may be able to tell how long they work for the city. The hard part will be people like Chuck, who it's hard to know when somebody left here. Did they go work in Brazil or for the county or someplace else? Now, we're going to know some. I can name some people right now who worked at the city, worked for the county. We know about them. But if they went to work in a county and to work at Hancock County or something, I don't know, we'll ever know.
No.
We've talked about doing some publications and Facebook stuff. And
if you ever work for the city, please contact
yeah.
whoever, and then we have to do some kind of form checking their Social Security to see where their employment records was. This is a big problem. We knew about it last year, and we just had so many other things, and now things coming to light. We need to say we got to work on this.
Correct.
We got to work on this. So.
Once you discover that, then doesn't that employee have to pay so much?
Well, they were supposed to, but they didn't know it at the time. There's a good legal argument in that, I wasn't told that I was in, so I didn't make that contribution. Therefore, you denied me the opportunity. It could open a whole can of worms on.
I don't know where it's going to
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Because I was involved in that situation, and I'm like,
yeah. But if you as an official told no, you're not in it, then you denied me, when I worked for the city, you denied me my part to put into it. Therefore, are you liable as the city?
We also have other people who I've been told were told it's up to you, and they were told, well, no, thanks, I'll take all my paycheck, thank you.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't optional, and so that's, it's a, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Chuck has talked to me about this last last 6 months or so, at least.
And we planned on starting to do on something this fall when it was kind of easier. We didn't have a lot of stuff going on, but
Yeah, we have nothing going on now.
yeah, with the circumstances with Jack, we want to make sure we get this out and get working on it because it's a problem that is going to go forward. We've got to correct the problem. And we're not talking about people that have deceased. We're just talking about people that should be getting a pension now that aren't getting it. Sorry for the problems, guys, but
Add it to the list.
No, I've
Yeah.
known about it, but
yeah,
you were told too many things.
yeah, and that's why we want to get it.
You elect at time of hire to either get into perf or not, and you didn't have to. Then we had situations where employees pulled up state laws, and that didn't matter if you told them not. You were still enrolled in perf, but you weren't deducted from it. Then you had to go back and pay. So I've seen that in 2005, 2006.
So we still have an ordinance from 1976.
Wow.
We need to take that ordinance from 1976 and research it, change it, amend it, but right now it's still.
I don't even know that you have the option. I think if you're in, you're in.
You're in.
Maybe you may have some flexibility with elected officials. I don't know. Brazil actually just joined PERF a couple years ago, and so one of the attorneys in my office is their attorney, so I can find out more. I know I talked to her about it when they were doing it. I think there may be some options, and we had PERF come out to the city a couple times and talk to employees. It was very interesting. I mean, I learned a lot. But it's a good program. It'd be for everyone's benefit if they did. But essentially, you're in or you're not in.
Also, Scott, the ARPA money
Yeah, I know.
has not been moved like it was supposed to at the end of the year. Did we lose the 42,000?
We did our resolution before,
So
and I talked to State Board of Accounts about it. They've explained to us how we need to do it. Sent that to two clerk treasurers, and still hasn't happened yet. I think he's just trying to get caught up on getting bills paid, and there's a lot for him to do. And,
Okay, but the resolution did cover us to save that money.
Yeah, I talked to State Board of
Okay.
Accounts earlier this year. I emailed with them about it. So we do need to get it fixed. So.
Any other council comments? Okay. Under mayor's comments as interim mayor, I've got a couple things. First one is about the clerk treasurer, about the deputy clerk. Been talking to Scott through emails, and he said, since we've already approved the position for deputy clerk and the salary ordinance of 2025, then the clerk can hire whatever person he wants to hire. It's up to him. So he said he's already hired someone, so that's good.
And that rate was like $15.50, wasn't it, an hour or something?
It's 11 something.
Is it 11 something? Okay. Sorry.
And then there's $20,000 budgeted for the deputy clerk, and he needs to pay the deputy clerks out of city money only, not by any other means, and that Nancy has used part of that $20,000 this year, so he needs to figure out how much Nancy has used, so he knows how much is left that he can pay a deputy clerk or other deputy clerks.
She's used quite a bit of the professional services also.
Yeah. So
And
he'll have
also,
to.
while we're on the clerk treasurer, I forgot to bring up, he had the bond payment for him and his deputy taken out of the council. And he has a line item, so that needs to be reverted back in to the council, and he needs to pay for his bond and the deputy out of his, I think it's under category 3, under his heading.
Yeah, there's, when you speak of that, we were going over claims last night and signing, like I said, there was a lot of them, and one of them was the bonds. And there was others that were in there that's supposed to be coming out of his. And the problem, if he, and you guys are gonna see on these claims, I gave you the amount, $350,000 in 1 month. That's quite a bit of chunk that just came out after the approval tonight. Not knowing some of this other stuff, but he is already, we sit down and went just over some of these, he's already gonna be in the red. And so I explained to him, you have to get with Scott, we'll talk about additional appropriations, usually we wait until towards the end of the year. He's got very limited funds right now, and that's just not one. And I'm sure he'll see the number, but I know he's aware of where that was supposed to come out of.
Then the only other comment I had was to say, what a great job Mayor Guilfoyle did. Okay, moving on to financial reports and claims. What do you guys want to do with that?
Make a motion, we were given and received the financial claim.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion to say that we were given the claims and accepted them. Motion by Bob, second by Dean. Roll call vote.
Oh, sorry. Forgot what I'm doing. You can fire me anytime. JT Walker.
Yes.
Chuck Properoni.
Yes.
Dean Strome.
Yes.
Scott Lindsey.
Yes.
Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Okay. Next, old business. It's the second read of ordinances, a couple of them. The first one is 3-2025-1 concerning electric bicycles and electric scooters. And this is the second read, so
By title?
by title only.
It's 5 pages.
There's a couple of typos.
Well, we've hashed this over quite a bit in the first meeting and sent the corrections to the attorney, and I noticed he's made the corrections, so if no further discussion, I'd move that it be passed.
Do you want me to identify where the typos are so they can be corrected?
It'd probably be more efficient if you just email them to me and then I can make
It's only 2.
Okay. Well, I know, but I can't, I'm
Okay, all right, got you.
I'm not good at this. So
Okay.
you can email me the changes and I'll get you a new one to sign.
I've got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. It's not on the signature page. It's
Okay.
only in the-
Oh, or I can substitute.
Okay, I've got a motion and a
Who
second
made that second?
I did.
to approve ordinance 3-2025-1, adding section 70.15 to the Clinton Code of Ordinances concerning electric bicycles and electric scooters. So roll call vote.
JT Walker,
Yes.
Chuck Properoni,
Yes.
Dean Strome,
Yes.
Scott Lindsey,
Yes.
Bob Alexander.
Yes.
Okay.
That ordinance will need to be published. For the record.
One, two's over here.
Who wants the hard copy, because these get lost.
Did you get what your question was last month answered?
On these
On the
class ones, and
These and these?
on the class 1, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the second one is second read for ordinance 4-2025-2 by title only, amending water rates and charges.
There's another typo. I don't know who gets it.
You're going to give him the quit.
It's the wicked to be attention to detail. It drives people nuts. Okay, item 3 on the front page. Change matter to meter. That's it.
Okay.
Not on a signature page, so you guys are good.
So is there any discussion or anything on this, or is there a motion?
Make a motion to set ordinance 4-2025-2, amending the water rates and charges.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a first and a second to pass the ordinance 4-2025-2, amending water rates. Roll call vote.
J.T. Walker,
Yes.
Chuck Pepperoni,
Yes.
Dean Strong.
Yes.
Dot Lindsay,
Yes.
Bob Alpin.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the new business, the council thoughts on the AIM membership dues?
My thoughts are, I'm not gonna misspeak from last night, but the way I read this is an invoice. And it should have been paid on January 31st, 2025. So I don't know if this is in order for us to stay with the AIM Government Affairs Program or not. So I didn't get that question answered because it's an invoice.
But I don't know if that's not that, I don't think the dues were paid in the last year or so.
Right.
Right.
Didn't we drop out, Patty?
We did, so I think the mayor, Guilfoyle, just wanted you guys to deem if you wanted to continue, because,
Right.
I mean, when you are in AIM, it's $2,700, but you still have to pay for their classes to go to. There's a few things I think they offer for free, but he wanted to leave that up to you all to.
Well, I had conversation with Jack about this, and he was kind of adamantly opposed to it due to that fact that you pay this cost, then you pay, yeah, it is a reduced, but you still pay for the webinars and classes that you'd go to and attend. And they put out a handbook and a salary survey that you have to pay for those. So I don't see any real benefit other than greasing their palm over at the State House or wherever they go. That's my own take. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but from what we're here with the bills that we got coming, $2,735 can probably be put towards some of those state and small bills.
They used to do a lot of the training free over there. You just
Used
went.
to.
Now, now they want expenditure.
So is everybody in agreement then not to do this?
Not. I make a motion, we don't do it.
Just before we do that, okay, and I'm just calling on you to figure and understand this. As you come into office, you do have to attend some webinars and things, and usually that's through AIM. So I do know that some people from last night's claim has been submitting that they went and did that. So I just wanted to make sure you all know that.
I, out of pocket, I already paid $300 because it's important to me to have, I know stuff 20 years ago. I need to bring myself up to speed.
And I did the $75 brush up,
So
so I paid for that.
Yeah,
That's all I had to really, I mean,
I just noticed
Yeah.
in the claims last night.
you know, and I think
There was
as,
I don't think.
well, I thought as a council person, the council person should at least he's gonna work for the city, he should at least know what he's doing.
Yeah, and it
And
comes
that
in
should
our
come out of your
budget.
pocket.
Yeah.
But it's not that
Training.
much money to, yeah.
We have a motion.
Aren't you supposed to have so many hours?
As the
Clerk
clerk
treasurer.
treasurer does.
Clerk treasurer.
Okay.
So,
So we just have to make sure budget time, we get those in so we can make sure that clerk treasurers of the future, any of us,
Should we put a cap on so much training?
we
Like-
just need to pad more into it so they can get that, feel good to go to those classes. I mean, they were really good classes.
Yes, I agree.
They got the budget workshop coming up, but it's a cost, and I agree with what Dean and the mayor was saying. We're paying a membership, but then we turn around and get the cost. Why not just put it in our budget for education, then all of us can feel good, we don't have to worry about it, and we just pay and
And
reimburse
if
them.
instead of costing $100 a person, it's $125 a person, we're still saving money, because it depends
Correct.
on who many goes. So they're not gonna turn you down from going.
Yeah, they're a great, great program.
Right.
so do we even need a motion on this, or just?
You don't need
Should I
any.
turn
I-
in my $300?
So I need to rescind my motion.
You don't need, you can make one if you want, I mean.
I did, but
Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
retract my motion.
Yeah, so we just,
If we're not-
We need to take some action on it.
Yeah, because
well,
we
Don't wanna
do,
pay it,
because,
it's an invoice.
but, okay, the invoice, but we gotta clear up. Remember, I just said, there's claims out there where people have taken classes and submitted the claims. So we have to make action that we are going to still pay for
It'd be
education
non-membership
fees.
fees.
Well, if it's on the claims, we'll approve it, but this.
Okay, I just want to
Right,
clarify
I
it because I do
Yeah.
know, I'm not gonna call anybody out, I'm just saying we have claims on it, that's what I was trying to clarify.
Yeah, if it's on the claims, and
Because those have not been approved, because the question was, is this an invoice? And
mhm.
something didn't drive when I
they
started.
like putting invoice, they got a rubber stamp for them, because I get it for the ADA. They'll send me an invoice, and I'm not a member. I join every year, $25, but invoice, and throw away the rubber stamp, we save $2,735.
We're gonna move it on to B, resolution 2025-4, adoption of Odyssey Case Management System. Chuck, you wanna read that for us?
Adoption of Odyssey Case Management System. Whereas the state court case management system called Odyssey is being offered to the city of Clinton Court at no cost. Whereas the Division of the State Court Administration signed a state contract in 2007 with Tyler Technologies, Inc., purchasing the rights to use Odyssey for all judicial staff in Indiana and divisions, has been developing Odyssey to trial courts, cities, and town courts since 2007. And whereas in addition to the fact that the Division of State Court Administration has paid the initial licensing cost for the Odyssey software, the Division of State Court Administration will pay the yearly software maintenance and support cost, and the city will not incur any yearly licensing costs for use of the software. And whereas the Division of State Court Administration will pay for the training of the judge and court staff, and whereas the city currently pays for the maintenance and support for the current court case management software system with implementation of Odyssey, there is no cost will be entailed. And whereas Odyssey offers our citizens access to non-confidential court case information at no cost over the internet at mycase.in.gov. Now, therefore, be it therefore resolved, the city council hereby approves the support and implementation of statewide Odyssey case management system for the Clinton City Court, and finds that the implementation of Odyssey is in the best interest of the city. 2, this resolution shall be in effect from and after its passage by the city council. adopted by the Clinton City Council, Clinton, Indiana, 20th day of May, 2025.
Make a motion to accept resolution 2025-4.
Second.
Makes a no-brainer.
Got a motion and a second to accept resolution 2025-4, adoption of Odyssey Case Management System. Roll call vote.
J.T. Walker,
Yes.
Jeff Properoni.
Yes.
Stephen Strong.
Yes.
Dot Lindsay,
Yes.
Robert Alexander.
Yes.
I'm running out of room.
I've got one other thing here before we go. Then in the public meeting, we talked about the zoning ordinance. So I need to ask that the council will add to the agenda ordinance 5-2025-1, repealing the existing zoning ordinance and adopting replacement zoning ordinance. So I need somebody to add that to the agenda.
I'll add the agenda.
Have a
Make a
second?
motion.
Second.
Okay, I got a first and a second to add this to the agenda, ordinance 5-2025-1, repealing the existing zoning ordinance and adopting a replacement zoning ordinance. Bob, would you like to read that for us? You have it?
I may have that.
Here, I got mine back.
I'll read it. Repealing the existing zoning ordinance and adopting a replacement zoning ordinance. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Clinton has previously adopted a zoning ordinance codified as Chapter 152 of the City of Clinton Code of Ordinances. Whereas the Vermillion County Area Plan Commission, which also serves as a plan commission for the City of Clinton, has pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-602 initiated a proposed new zoning ordinance named the Vermillion County Unified Development Ordinance to serve as the zoning ordinance and subdivision control ordinance for both Vermillion County and the City of Clinton. And whereas the Vermillion County Area Plan Commission has, following an advertised public hearing, given a favorable recommendation to the City of Clinton to adopt the Unified Development Ordinance as a replacement zoning and subdivision control ordinance for the city. Be it therefore ordained by the Common Council of the City of Clinton that 1. Chapter 152 of the City of Clinton Code of Ordinances is repealed. 2. The Vermillion County Unified Development Ordinance is pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-606, adopted as a replacement zoning ordinance and subdivision control ordinance for the City of Clinton. 3. As required by Indiana Code 36-7-4-610, the Plan Commission shall publish notice of the adoption of the replacement zoning ordinance and subdivision control ordinance. 4. The replacement zoning ordinance and subdivision control ordinance shall be effective upon the publication of the required notice by the Plan Commission. Adopted this 20th day of May 2025, following an advertised public hearing.
Is there any discussion on this?
Can I just point out, this is a circumstance, normally ordinances require 2 readings. This ordinance does not by statute because it's a zoning thing. So there's been tons of discussion and hearings about this already, so that's part of the reason why. But by statute, It's just a one read, you read and approve it. If you want to change it, you can change it. It gets really complicated then. Or you can turn it down. Those are your options.
Make a motion to accept ordinance 5-2025-1.
Second. I'll take my copy back.
There you go.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to pass ordinance 5-2025-1, repealing the existing zoning ordinance and adopting a replacement zoning ordinance. Roll call vote.
J.T. Walker,
Yes.
Jeff Brokeroni.
Yes.
Dean Strong,
Yes.
Dot Lindsay,
Yes.
Bob Elkins.
Yes.
Thank you for your hard work on getting that done. That's a lot of hours.
It was.
But it should have been done 25 years ago,
It should.
when we did the first zoning thing. I remember that about helipads and all the stuff we had to go through on that 20 years ago. I mean, a lot of work. Unifying along the highway, what affects what this. All the setbacks are common now, everything is.
But there's
Huh?
I said, there are a few people that showed up.
Well, there can always be some changes later on to get, at least you finally got one document.
That was, you got one document. If it doesn't work, it's not that hard to amend.
No, no.
All I need now is a motion to
You
adjourn.
got it, motion.
Motion by Dean.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you for getting me home almost.
We are
I have
adjourned.
to run fast.
So good luck.
Yeah. I hope this time tomorrow I'm sitting at home with my feet up and get my knee done at 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 a.m. at Champaign, 6 o'clock our time.
What time you gotta be over there?
I gotta be there at 5. 6 our time. And I'm first. If you're gonna do me last, keep me overnight. I changed my mind. We're gonna do you first. We'll just keep you all day. If you're doing all right, we'll send you home.
Dean's got a buddy that would have opted for last, because then he'd ask, can I get a free meal?
Well, that's what he told me. He says, I'm on Medicare, and he said, well, Medicare will pay for the hotel room. It doesn't make any difference to me, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I'm sorry to bring that can of worms up, but I had to now, because, you know what I mean?
Okay, is this,
Yes.
yeah, I believe that's the list of all the streets.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm almost afraid to ask this one. What the hell was in the letter that Marty gave you guys at the Board of Works?
All I know is that Bob said it was actually for a second-class city. We're a third-class city.
Yeah, we're a third-class city. We all know that.
So, I don't know what was in it, except for that.
Okay.
Doing good, sir.
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm walking back.
You did very good on that, Scott. Thank you.
You're welcome. How you doing?
Have a good night, JT.
You too. Thanks for all your help here.
I don't mean it, but it's just a thing I have about typos.
That's no problem. I'm like that too. I'll see stuff, and
It's easy, it's an easy fix.
when I seen that your votes were wrong, I'm like, I don't know. He took off running.
He took off running, the little stink.
Who?
Scott Craig.